Super Tuscans, they became a trend in the 1970s, thanks to wines like Sassicaia. What happened was all the Bordeaux blends made it over the way to Tuscany, and there was no classification that fit neatly. So what happens is they had to develop a new classification called IGT, which allowed for the making of these Super Tuscans, where they take things like Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, and they blend them with Sangiovese, that principal grape of Italy. In North America where I live, a lot of people buy their wines at Costco, and it's no surprise. They offer excellent selection, good quality, and for a very budget-friendly price. So today, I'm going to tackle Super Tuscans with a pairing with items that you find typically on a charcuterie board and how well they work together. Stay tuned. Greetings everybody, welcome to Brian's Table. I'm Brian Singh, and today we're going to do a entry-level Super Tuscan pairing in our Costco Battle Royale. So today we're going to be putting up the Kirkland Toscana blend up against the Villa Antinori Toscana blend, and let's see how it all works out. Both of these wines are IGT. They are a blend of 3, maybe 4 grapes, and they all have Cabernet Merlot and Sangiovese in them. This one actually is more expensive than the Villa Antinori. This one comes in at $21, $22, and this one comes in at $19. Compared to most other pairings that I have done in the past with Costco wines, this is a case where the Costco wine is more expensive than the competitor I also picked up at Costco. Let's dig into this pairing by starting with the wines themselves. The Toscana blend from Kirkland, let's give it a sniff first. Oh, that's a lovely nose, really rich. Kirkland one is very interesting. Really nice nose, fantastic, lovely. Getting a little bit of leather, you're getting a bit of cherry, getting a lot of good, nice red fruit in here. And you also get that little Sangiovese element, that tomato leaf in here. Really lovely nose. Let's check out the nose on the Villa Antinori. The Antinori family, well known, you know, if you go over the history of Italy, they were one of the preeminent families whenever Tuscany was a city-state unto itself. That is a really rich, complex, exciting nose. A little inkiness to it, that's coming from the Cabernet and Merlot blend there, but it does bring in a lovely Sangiovese element that is familiar with wines from Chianti and Brunello's. For a $19 wine, that's a pretty nice nose. Let's give it a taste. All right, we're gonna start with the Kirkland brand, the Toscana Super Tuscan Blend. That is a spectacular, incredible, well-balanced wine. It is more of an experience than trying to pick out individual components. That's how well balanced this wine is for that price. I'm quite surprised. Tannins are super silky, super chewy. This wine could go for a few years, believe it or not, for a $21, $22 bottle of wine. That's pretty sweet. It's super food friendly. I'm gonna be curious to see how it pairs up with the items we selected off the charcuterie board. Let's see how the Antinori performs. High acid right off the bat. Lovely, a little bit more menthol on it. So tell me that the Merlot content on this may be a hair higher. Some of the green elements are evident. So the kind of cool thing about this is you're able to dissect the components of this wine better than this one. So this is telling me that with the green vegetal notes, there's Cabernet in here, the little more menthol elements, you're getting a little Merlot. And again, that kind of rich tomatoiness you're getting from the Sangiovese. Both of these wines are exceptionally well made, and I don't see a lot of differences between them, other than the fact that this one has a lot more flavor, where this one has a lot more balance. Let's give it a go with food. I picked up some aged Piave So this is the premium Piave. Have a little bit of Fontina, very typical here in Italy. A little prosciutto, which is coming from Parma, which is in the adjacent region. And I also picked up a little bit of salami here that has fennel in it. So if you're familiar with a lot of the Italian sausages and also some of the salamis, fennel is a very common flavor that you'd find in these items. Let's give it a go with the Fontina first. Okay, I'm gonna break off a little bit of Fontina here. Delicious. I'm gonna have it first with the Kirkland brand. Solid pairing. They're working together. This is sort of when the cheese and the wine merge into one on your palate. There's no distinct front palate to this. Most of it is going on in the mid palate, but it's a whole palate experience. But it is saying that this needs meat. This is a very meat-friendly wine, just on that. It's even telling me that with the cheese. Let's see how the Fontina goes with the Villa Antinori. It's kind of funny, I managed to get all Italian items to go with Italian wine, so I'm quite pleased with that. So the Fontina, with this one, brought out the vegetal notes on the wine. So if I would think about this, this is where this is more of a meat wine when it comes to the Fontina. This one is telling me that Fontina works, but it also needs a complete dish. So where this is saying meat, this is saying meat and vegetables. Kind of weird, but good weird. Not much to distinguish between these two at this point. I'm quite surprised. This is a good wine. And they're very different, surprisingly. Anyhow, let's go with the heart of the Veneto region and the Piave cheese. If you haven't had Piave before, it's delicious. It really is. I'm going with the Villa Antinori first. Oh, it makes the wine juicier, fruitier. There is joy going on in my mouth. This is very exciting. The wine is lush and delicious. Let's now try it with the Kirkland brand. Now that's funny, because this now brings out the vegetal notes and it takes it to a way more rustic place, but the tannins are completely tamed. This is still telling me meat. It really is just telling me meat. It's a good pairing. I'll give the edge to the Villa Antinori because it really does transform the wine into something unique. All right, let's give this a go with salami. So a nice little salami here with fennel. Really, fennel is one of those things that makes Italy, Italy. Oh, rich, porky, fatty, that lovely little fennel note in there. I'm gonna start it with the Kirkland brand first. Yep, meat. The wine, not completely transformed, but it does elevate the salami, and the vegetal note is now making that fennel really pop. So if ever you've had porchetta, think about that, because that has that strong fennel flower flavor. That's what's coming through here. Very interesting. All right, let's see how it goes with the Villa Antinori. That's super good salami, man. This is weird because they did almost exactly the same thing with this. Really emphasized the salami, accentuated the fennel, and just a very pleasant experience. So on this one, I'd give this one a tie. Really a fascinating combination here of how much the fennel is driven up from 10 to about 15 with both these wines. Because we're in Italy, and this is also evident on most charcuterie boards, let's go with the prosciutto. This time I'm going to start with the Villa Antinori. Again, kind of trying to randomize the whole process. For a $19 wine, that is actually a very nice pairing. It gives the prosciutto, the porkiness is tamed, but the richness of the prosciutto really complements the wine and doesn't drive up the acid. But this is one where, imagine prosciutto merging with the wine. This is a very harmonious pairing. You can tell that these two items are meant to go together. One of the things that saying in the wine world that we have is what grows together goes together. This is a very classic example of that. It's a rock solid pairing. It's not like fireworks, but it's that moment where you're having a really good time enjoying this pairing together. Let's see how prosciutto goes with the Kirkland brand. The fruity notes of the wine are accentuated, but it's not getting me salivating and just like this cavalcade of fruit. It's a rustic element. The porkiness of the prosciutto is evident, and it really embraces and elevates the prosciutto more so than this. But both are solid pairings because, again, the roots of this wine are meant to go with dishes from the region. And Emilia-Romagna is right next to Toscana, and you can see how these things work together. The last thing I'm going to do before we wrap up, I give you my judgment on this, is I'm going to take this little piece of salami. I'm going to go with the Piave over the Fontina. I'm curious to see how this all works. So we're going to do a little bit of salami with the fennel, and we're going to taste it with the Piave. Oh, that's a nice comment. Oh, that alone is great. Let's see how it goes with the Kirkland. Every element of this is speaking of saying, I know there's Piave cheese, I know there's fennel salami, I know there's a Super Tuscan wine, but they are going down the road hand in hand together. They're all walking at the same pace. Nobody's trying to outrun anybody else. They're just hanging out together. Really solid pairing. Let's see how it goes with the Villa Antinori. Surprisingly, a similar pairing. All the elements do speak to themselves, but here's the difference. Where this wine is, I said they're walking down the road hand in hand, they're walking down the road hand in hand this way. These guys are walking down the road, each of them hugging each other's shoulders. It's a little tighter in terms of what the pairing is. I'm quite surprised. They do exactly the same thing, but this one just does it a little bit better. I'm gonna say, both of these pairings are really good. I would also say this one high in price by a few dollars compared to this. This is surprisingly excellent value. And this one, I'm very intrigued. For what it is, it's a really well-made wine, and I'd be curious what a little bit of cellaring will do to this guy. I would give the edge to this, to the Villa Antinori, because again, save a few bucks, get a good wine, but it's not as clear as what you think it is, based on how I responded. Because this wine is interesting in different ways, whereas this one is interesting in more direct ways. That if you had to choose something based on what your initial gut is, this is a wine. If you want to choose a wine that is cerebral and makes you think and feeds your curiosity, it's a tough one between these two. They do slightly different things, and they do a lot of similar things, and I'm quite surprised. These are great wines. But I will say, for a few dollars less, and if you're drinking this wine, if you buy this wine on Friday and you're drinking it on Saturday, I give the edge to the Villa Antinori. But this is a serious wine. Really good. All right, folks. Thank you for watching. I think this has been a fun experiment in terms of how wine and food goes together and the influence on wine and food, but also, what is it that you can pick up at your Costco, which is most probably one of the most popular liquor stores in North America, that you can enjoy with friends with a charcuterie board and just hanging out and having good quality wine. That's the best context for wine. Enjoying it with friends. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate the time you spent with me. If you are enjoying what you're seeing, please hit the like and subscribe button. And I'm going to keep working on trying to show people that, you know, when you're going to have that bottle of wine and you're going to pair it with food, make sure that you are thinking about your pairing and optimize the flavors that you are going to be serving to your guests. I think it's a fantastic exercise to understand the whole dynamic of how food and wine works together and how that helps you taste the world just that little bit better.